This is a 2021 Chevy Silverado 1500, owned by a firefighter, my father actually, and these are Xridonsen LED light bars in blue and amber. These lights will be used to get the attention of other drivers during emergency response and other operations. These units have options of bolts or suction cups for mounting, and the owner has chose to mount these using the suction cups. These also come with two-sided adhesive pads to be sure that they stick to the window, but I still recommend using suction cup gel around the edge.
Those will lock into here.
We'll be using these with the windshield lights, but not the rear traffic advisor, as it's already somewhat tight against the window, which is not ideal, but the only way around that in this specific situation would be to bolt it to the ceiling. One of the first steps is to clean the window to ensure the suction cups and adhesive will stick well to it. And well, it's also not going to be as easy to clean that specific spot anymore once it's mounted, so we'll clean it before we mount it. After finding a good mounting position, we will loosen or remove plastic covers to run the wires through. While not every wire can be perfectly hidden, specifically where the wires come directly out of the units, we can get a majority of the cables and wires hidden inside the vehicle's panels, which not only makes it look nicer, but it's significantly safer for both the occupants and the equipment itself. It's important to make sure it's done right, even if you're doing this at home yourself. Even if you're not getting paid for this and you're doing this for you, take the time, look up a tutorial on how to take panels off of your vehicle, make sure it's out of the way of the airbags.
Gotta watch out for the airbags.
Make sure it's out of the way of the airbags.
Those will get you.
And have the cables installed the right way. These wires are going to run back to the center console, where we have a stack of radios already installed. While one of these units came with a 12-volt plug that could be removed and replaced with a pigtail cord, the other did not, but it didn't make much of a difference anyway. We just cut the plug off of it so that we could hardwire it directly into the radio stack. The reason for this is to avoid having plugs and wires taking up space inside the truck. To have it wired in, most of the time it could be behind the dashboard and completely out of the way. But because we have this radio stack here, we already have this space behind the radios dedicated to wires. So as far as we're concerned, your vehicle typically has about 4 types of circuits. Your battery circuit, which constantly has power. Things like your ceiling lights and your locks will be wired into that. Your accessory circuit, where you need to use your key to turn it on for things such as your FM radio and power windows. Your running circuit, which would be when your engine is actually running with the key. That would be things like a blower fan for your heat or air conditioning. And your starting circuit, which is typically just for your starter.
This is the mic right there. WRJT 910 M121. Yeah, do you want these lights to only have power with the ignition, or do you want them to always have power so you can turn them on even if your truck is off?
Yeah, I think hook it up to the ignition so I don't forget to turn them off.
Makes sense to me. Will do. Yeah, I forgot to ask that earlier.
For fire and EMS, I would typically recommend using the accessory circuit to power your lights. The reason being, when you get to the firehouse or the ambulance station and you turn your vehicle off, your lights will automatically turn off as well. This will prevent your truck from being parked there for an hour or two while your lights are just running. Granted, with any sort of decent battery in these modern LED lights, you could have it sitting there for hours and your battery's not going to die from the lights. You could still get back and start your vehicle, but it can sometimes cause confusion, especially if you're parked on the side of the road and there's other traffic passing by seeing your lights, thinking that there's an emergency at that location perhaps. For construction vehicles, I typically recommend wiring the lights directly to the battery. Just because it constantly has power does not mean it is constantly using power. It's not using power until you turn it on, which you'll have the option of turning on the lights without the key even while the vehicle's off. Now, if it's in your accessory circuit, you could still turn on the lights with the key without starting your engine. However, you would also be turning on other electronics, such as AM/FM radios, where if your lights are wired directly to the battery, you could have only those lights running, which would give you hours of being able to sit there with your lights on without having to have your engine run. Like with anything, explain to us exactly what you would like to do, and we may be able to offer things such as steep cycle batteries and low voltage cutoffs to prevent your battery from dying when being used without running. Typically, we would recommend mounting the control panel as well as anything else with bolts, as they're very solid, rather permanent solutions. However, the owner did not want us to mount anything with bolts other than the original radio stack we installed. So just like we used the suction cups for the lights, we used 3M brand two-sided foam tape for the control panels, which seems to hold rather well. We've used it for a long time in many various applications, including inside vehicles where it gets hot, but they're not as reliable as a bolt, which I could say is going to hold forever unless you really hit it and break something. Now, either way, to be safe, we like to mount these wires in such a way where if the mounting bracket is to fail, the device will not swing into your legs or your feet or in a position where it could cause a danger by interfering with your operation of the vehicle. So to summarize, we install safety and emergency lights, and we do it right, whether it's a full setup or even just a single dash light that you want to be done nice and tidy real quick. We'll install any brand, it's just that recently we've been testing with Xridonsen specifically in search of a budget light that has anywhere near the performance of more expensive options. And I have to say, I'm impressed. The amber traffic bar in the back stands out just fine at 1,000 feet away or 300 meters, and that's through a tinted window. And then the blues on the front, I'd almost be willing to say you could see them from across town. The only way you could really get brighter than that is if you take a couple actual floodlights and hook them up to a wigwagger, which we would also do. You tell me what distance you want to be seen from and I'll give you a price. But this is on a sunny day in August. It's a little hazy, there's a couple of clouds, but it's bright outside. Most other videos I've seen, it's cloudy at best. But more often than not, it's the middle of the night, where everything is bright. A $5 light could be seen from half a mile away, but the moment the sun comes up, it's not going to do you any good. My advice to manufacturers and distributors would be to make videos of your lights operating in brighter environments. And to consumers, whether my customers or not, I'd always recommend you look for those videos, because if you can only find videos of it operating at nighttime, it's probably garbage, it's probably not worth your money, and it's probably not safe. That being said, these in the middle of the night are almost blinding. My other advice would be to look for videos of the flash patterns, which fortunately Xridonsen seems to do that for pretty much every light I've seen them post, because the flash patterns are important. There are patterns that are better than others. I will say, I believe this unit has 40 patterns on it. There's maybe 5 that are actually good, but it has those good ones. There's a lot of patterns out there that just won't grab attention, and maybe they don't even have enough of the LEDs turned out at once to really stand out. But in addition to the couple that are good, this does also have buttons on the controller for the directional ones, and it shows you on the controller exactly what pattern the lights are doing at that time, which is incredibly useful, especially for rear-facing lights like traffic bars. If you have any questions or you're interested in our services, please feel free to give us a call or a text. You can leave a comment on this video, whatever works for you. Have an awesome day, stay safe, and we look forward to hearing from you.